Hello and welcome to Discovering Grayslake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Wool, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home. Grayslake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents, and recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grayslake Rehabilitation. Wait. Grayslake has a record store? Are you ready to get into the groove? Well, I've got the perfect place for you with new and used vinyl, CDs, tapes, and more. At Andy's Records, they're not just about the hits. They're about the classics, the B-sides, the hidden gems, the vinyl vibes that make your heart skip a beat. For the record, Andy's is not your average music shop. It's a place where melodies meet memories. Andy's Records, because life sounds better with a little spin. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another episode of Discovering Grayslake. Once again, we're recording from Agora, right here on the corner of Center Street and Atkinson. Luke, that runs this place over here, is so gracious to be a sponsor of ours and let us record here. So big shout out to Agora. So if you're looking for a space to have an office for a day, have an office for a month, or pretty much your forever home, come on over and see the folks at Agora, because they're here to help you out. So I've been bothering this woman who's sitting across from me, and if you could see the look on her face right now, I would consider you a longtime friend.
For sure.
Yes. So this is
20 years.
Yes. Actually, so when I met you, you were Bridget Rep.
Yes, I was.
Yes, and now you're Bridget Blake.
That's right.
So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. So you run the Dance Connection.
Yes.
And how long have you been doing the Dance Connection?
Well, it depends on what you mean by doing. I've been there since I was 3 years old.
Oh my God.
So I started in
20 years.
1982. Yeah,
Right.
20 years. 1982, I started as a student there. And I've really been there my whole life. But I took over as owner in 2006. So I'm going on my 18th year.
Yes, because we were just talking that.
Yes, I bought it when my son was 5 months old,
right.
And he's now 18. So this is how I keep track.
Good. I'm glad you have your son to keep track of time.
I have my son to keep track of time. Well, he does that for me all the time, and it's really tough.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. And we also discussed on the way in that I had the honor to DJ your wedding.
Yes, you did. 20 years ago in November. It was November 1st, 2003.
Oh, and let me tell everybody that the thing that I remember at your wedding the most is that you did your dance routine for your husband.
Yes, I did.
Which was awesome, and the first and only time that has ever happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And people still talk about that, you know.
History
making. for real. And it was at Midlane when Midlane was in the Chandler Room.
Yes, that's right. It was in the Chandler Room. We had so much dancing. We had I didn't have any bridesmaids, so we had all groomsmen, and they did a dance to the Blues Brothers. We had bagpipers. My students came in and did a dance. It was very entertaining.
That was reception. Awesome. That was awesome. So we're going to jump all the way back when you're 3 years old. It was it Pat Foster that ran the dance?
Pat and Diane were my teachers, but they didn't own it yet. Peggy Leah it was called Peggy Leah's Studio of Dance. It was still in the same location. It was in the same building it is now. Right. It was only one room. Now it's 3 rooms. We own 3, or not, we rent 3/4 of the space on that first floor there, on Center Street. But Pat and Diane were my main teachers until I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. So they were, Pat Foster and Diane Peterson were for all intents and purposes, were the people running the place back then. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so they ran it, so then they owned it after
They owned it after that. Peggy went to Florida, I think, and for a period of time, I don't know for sure, but I think her brother was kind of managing the business. But Pat and Dan were doing all the work, so they said, why don't you just let us take over this place?
Right, since we're running it
since
anyway.
we're doing it anyway.
Right.
And so I think they incorporated it as the Dance Connection in 92. But it was in the same building. It was being done by all the same people. It was just a new name.
Wow. Okay, so did that same process happen with you then?
No. So around 2001, they started talking about retiring. And I happened to be working there as an instructor. I was very young though.
Yeah.
I was only 22 years old. And, I think they were just looking at somebody who could kind of take it over easily, that was familiar with how the place was run, familiar with the families. It would be kind of a seamless, smooth transition.
Yeah, like no one would even really know.
Right. So that started the process of me getting more involved in like the day-to-day running very slowly. Over time they would kind of expose me to more of the processes they used and how they managed and organized things. So really, I had a lot more of that knowledge of management by the time I took it over in 2006.
Yeah, and it must have been nice for you because you pretty much knew everything except for,
except for those, the kind of, the structure of running a business,
and especially with the amount of registrations that you guys have and classes going around and what age and which thing. And,
right.
Oh my gosh.
It is a lot. Nowadays, so when I took it over, one of the things I changed immediately was they were still doing a lot of like pen and paper,
they're old school.
Yeah.
Right.
So I computerized things right away. We manage everything through software, and we can host registration and things online. We have an app.
Oh my gosh, it must save so much.
So now, now it sort of does it itself. There's still a lot of administrative stuff I have to do.
I'm sure.
In the background, but it's not the same as back in the day, filling out an index card and like that.
I can't
the
even
old
imagine.
way of doing things.
Right. It's funny how sometimes technology is a great
thing.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just saying because my
unless it goes down.
Right. Technology wasn't working great for me Saturday morning, and I told the parents, I said, I don't know how old you guys are, but when I started doing all this, it was like tapes and CDs. And sometimes I miss those things because you could just know they'd work and not.
I know. I think at some point I made CDs for you.
Yeah.
At some point.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I remember burning CDs for kids to take home with their music on it and stuff.
Well, they needed to practice for the recital and everything.
And now we do this all on our app, so it's crazy.
Which is fun, though.
It is fun. It's really neat for the families. It's easy access, but to think of in a short time how much has changed as far as that aspect of it is
Absolutely.
Wild. Yeah.
Okay. Any idea of how many girls and boys have gone through the Dance Connection?
Oh my gosh. In the years that it's been open over 50 years.
Holy cow.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it has to be an enormous number.
Yeah, thousands and thousands and thousands.
Right, because everybody listening to this either has had a child there.
Everybody's tied to it somehow. 6 degrees of Dance Connection.
60.
Yeah.
I think it's probably more like 2 degrees.
2 degrees of Dance Connection.
Yes.
What we have now, I call them my grand dancers. I have students of mine who are now parents of dancers at the studio. So I was their dance teacher when they were young, and now they're bringing me their toddlers to teach dance to.
Wow. We were talking about feeling old.
Yeah. I feel old every day. Nobody needs to remind me about it.
But that is so cool to see how that
it's
goes
great.
through.
It's a blessing. Really, it's so neat. And, to compare their little ones to when they were that age. I have a couple that look identical to their parents when they were that age. So it's, sometimes I'm calling them the wrong name or
because call them by their mom's
name.
By
their mom's name. Because it's really special. I'm so lucky that I get to still be here and experience, this again. Now my niece is taking dance. I only have one niece.
Okay.
And this will be her first recital. And it'll be Noah's last. My son is also dancing. So it's going to be a really cool year. He's going to have his last time on stage, and she's going to have her first, which I'm really excited for.
How exciting is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so at the recitals, we're going to talk about recitals, but how is that day for you? Is it rewarding, or is it just so crazy you can't even enjoy it?
You know what? It's the before time that's crazy. On recital day, I enjoy myself because it's kind of all been set in motion, and I can just kind of sit back and watch it all unfold. It's all the everything leading up to recital is very stressful. You talk about being my wedding DJ. It's like planning a wedding every year, except it's not your wedding.
Right.
It's the wedding of 300 dancers.
And you have 300 dancers and their parents.
And their parents.
And their outfits.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot to manage beforehand. But once that day comes, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. There's nothing you can stand in front of.
I'm releasing it into the universe.
That's right. So I love the recital.
Okay, so now where do you have your recitals at?
Now we have them at the James Lumber Center at CLC. We've had them at Grayslake High School. When I was little, we went to Libertyville High School. We've had them in a tent outside during COVID. We've had them on the Millennium Park where they light the tree. We had that 2020.
Wow.
Was our recital outside. COVID was a strange time for us.
Yeah.
So
we're not supposed to say the C word on here.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm sure that how you guys adapted to that is huge.
Yeah, there were times when I wasn't sure, there would be a dance connection anymore.
Wow. And that's pretty scary.
It was very scary,
yeah.
But we made it through. We made a lot of adaptations. We did dance class on the computer for a long time.
Wow.
From living rooms and bedrooms.
And how cool is that? Because then the kids actually had something fun to do besides we were talking about e-learning and how crazy that is. But to have your dance class on there, it's not a bad thing.
we made it work. It was really challenging. It's challenging to teach dance in person. So to teach it on a screen is tough.
Yeah, especially if you have to do individual, you need to help one person out.
Right.
Because my Lily did a bunch of classes there, and I know she needed a lot of help with stuff, and she never would have been able to do it virtually.
It's just hard for little ones to pay attention, but they did a great job, though. Obviously we took a little hit in enrollment during that time, but the ones that stuck with it, I think they did a really great job, and eventually I think benefited from it because they had to learn in this whole new environment. I think it made them stronger learners.
Right. But enrollment now, back right where you're at?
Absolutely booming.
Yeah.
We have to turn people away. We have wait lists.
Which is a great and terrible thing to say.
I don't like to do it.
No.
Yeah, I wish we could, have 6 classrooms going instead of 3,
Right. We're taking a quick break just to say hello because everybody knows Nano. And Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grayslake girl helping out Grayslake people. That's a good problem to have.
That's what people say.
Right. That's what they say, but especially after you went through times where you weren't sure.
Yeah, oh my gosh. We're so grateful that we're still here.
Well, the community has supported the Dance Connection for 50 years.
For 50 years.
Yeah, which is amazing because you're like one of the staple.
Yeah, we've watched it, it's like a time lapse out our front window. We've watched how Center Street has changed. I grew up in Grayslake, so I remember the library being down on Center Street. And
me too.
The little, the pet shop and the Ace Hardware, or True Value Hardware in the corner, and the pharmacy, and go get your candy from the pharmacy. So we've watched all of that kind of unfold.
Right.
The place that is Millennium Park now, I took over the studio in 2006, and in 2007, they were thinking about knocking the building down.
Oh my gosh! And they thought about that for a long time.
Yes.
And
it's 122 years old, so it's been there a long time. It has a lot of historical significance for the village, but they came and approached us about. They were going to build another condo building there on the corner, and they were going to put the studio in like a basement spot there. So we had like all these plans written up and and then 2008 and the crash. And so that was bad news for them, but it was good news for us because
right.
I didn't want to move anywhere else,
No, and you're at home there, and you know everything about it, which is wonderful.
And it's cool that we're in this building that's been there so long.
Absolutely.
It was, I think they called it the Opera House back in the day.
Really?
So, like upstairs, they'd have dances. I think they had the firemen's dance upstairs.
I did not know that.
They'd host like plays and events and things upstairs. So it has this history of being this kind of place for entertainment
Absolutely.
It's really neat. And I don't know, you'd have to ask the people, but I think there was a bowling alley in the basement.
Really?
Yeah. So it's got this cool...
Wow. Lots happened in that building.
Well, we have a picture of, I think it's from 1904, and there's like a dry goods business where where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's just neat to be in a building that's seen that much of Grayslake come through.
Yes, I like how you explain looking out the window. It's like just a time warp.
It is, yeah. And we do have that big window.
You do have the big window, and then you come inside and there's another small room with a big window.
With a big window, yeah. I think people are surprised sometimes because of the shape of our building. We've had people come in and they think it's just this room. But now we take up the whole rear side of the building too. So they keep walking and they're like, oh, there's more? Oh, there's even more? Oh, wow.
Which is very cool.
I mean, it is cool. When I started, it was just the one classroom, Wow. And now it's 3 classrooms and...
Wow. So the instructors that are with you, are they former students? Are a lot of them former students?
Well, right now we have Miss Sammy, she graduated from University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. She's got her BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, and she's starting to teach. So she's working with me co-teaching now. So she's coming back to teach. We've had other kids who are in school for dance come back and teach for the summer.
Awesome.
But the staff we have now, none of them are former students, but one of them, Carly Friedman, she used to be Carly Otten, we competed not against one another, but during the same time. She's 10 years younger than me, so.
Wow.
But, so we knew each other growing up dancing. And 2 other of our instructors grew up here in the area and danced at different studios and now, work at the Dance Connection. So they're all basically all Lake County bred dancers, which is cool.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've talked about their history. So you start dancing at Dance Connection when you're 3 years old. So then your education-wise, so where'd you go to grade school at?
I went to St. Gilbert School from K through 8.
Okay.
I went to Grayslake High School when it was one place.
Right.
I went to Illinois State University for 1 year.
All right.
And then I came back home because it just wasn't working out for me. And I went to CLC. I got my associates in small business management because by that time I knew that there was kind of this track of this is where I was heading. And so that's my...
Wow. And then you couldn't get away from the dance connection.
I mean, couldn't get away is not a good phrasing. There are times in my life where that place has really, been my landing pad. It's been like my foundation. I feel like the people who have come through there are my extended family. Sure. I keep in touch with a lot of my former students thanks to...
Well, you have a gigantic family then.
I do have a gigantic family. And, during that time that we're not supposed to talk about,
right.
One of my former students asked if I would want to do like an online class with old, retro kids, kids that were in their 20s and 30s.
Wow.
And so we did that for several months. We would meet really? Once or twice a month. We would meet and I would see all these familiar faces from all over the country because, they don't all live here anymore. So that was really cool to get to interact with them again and dance and move and just have fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, it's like the reunion.
It was a reunion, and it was so cool. And there was no other circumstance under which that would have happened.
No. Sometimes we just make good things happen.
Right.
When there's nothing good that's happening, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I tell funny stories about you. Was when I was telling.
Here we go.
Here we go. So somebody's like, I said, well, I want to call Bridget. I want to get Bridget on the show, but yeah, Bridget used to live behind me.
Yeah.
So when I first started my DJ business,
that's right.
Yeah. So, and I would say, I wonder how many times.
I would always say that you lived behind me, though.
Right, I did live behind you. I think that's actually you were right behind me.
Yeah.
Yes, and I wonder how many times they had to call the police.
I could roll down the hill to your house.
Right. That's why they put the fence up, just to make sure that you didn't come into the crazy guy's yard.
I don't think they ever called the police on you. No.
It must have been everybody else. I'm glad that you never had to.
My parents aren't the kind of that call the police. They probably rolled their eyes,
Right.
But I don't think.
Well, I remember seeing your mom and dad in the backyard, and those nights I came out, and I'd just shake my head like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
But
was my dad with his hands on his hips?
Yeah, probably with his hands on his hips. Yeah. And your mom was at
crossing her arms, probably crossing her arms.
Yes, and it's before I had kids, and then they ended up going and staying, and then your mom was Mrs. Frepp, was the kindergarten teacher at St. Gilbert. Yeah. How many years did she teach at St. Gilbert? Any idea?
I think 30.
30 years.
Yeah. Well, she graduated. My son Ben, who's 15 now, was in her last kindergarten class.
Okay.
So she retired the year he was in kindergarten.
Yeah, so 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think for about 30 years. If it wasn't 30 years at St. Gilbert, it was 30 years altogether. But she started at St. Gilbert when I was in first grade.
Wow.
So and she taught kindergarten the whole time.
Yeah, God bless her. Yeah. I don't know how she did that.
She kind of changed kindergarten there. Like she made it a whole new thing.
My kids loved her.
Yeah, she
absolutely loved her.
She was literally made to do that job.
And it takes a lot. And anybody that's listening to Teach Rise to be a good kindergartner teacher, that's an amazing skill.
Yeah. It's very
and personality type too.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Well, she always says that she's still in kindergarten. You know, like you have to have that brain.
That's awesome.
Where you're still
I could see her saying that
like
actually.
That. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then your father was?
He was, for a long time, he was the superintendent of Gurney Public Works. And then he shifted around to various, versions of that job. But now they're retired in Door County and living peacefully and crafting and quilting and I still come back to Grayslake because my brother lives in Libertyville and I live in Lindenhurst now, and so they still come back and visit. And my mom still goes to St. Gilbert to say hi to people she knows there.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a great family.
We do. We have a really good family, and we're very lucky. It was really cool to grow up in Grayslake when I was little. During that period of time, like the 80s, early 90s, it was just the perfect place.
Yes.
To be, because you could I would just take off on my bike and spend the whole day downtown, go into Tasty Freeze with my bag of quarters, go and get some candy at the pharmacy, go to the library. It was just the coolest place.
It really was. And
go to Jones Island.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. When I grew up, because we lived on Sawia, which is behind the high school, and there was no West Trail. It was just a big farm.
Mm-hmm. And I lived on Burton, so I was just I was just right down the road
so
from here.
We used to just, go ride our bikes in the dirt and, climb trees and all kinds of country kids.
Right. And anybody that knows the road Sawia knows that that was the best place to ride your bike down because that hill was
definitely
fantastic.
Came real close to getting hit by cars many, many times. Our parents didn't love that we would race down those hills.
No, and those cars just should have stayed out of the way.
That's right.
That's what I said.
They were interfering with us.
And we would ghost ride our bikes down there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And how many people crashed into the bottom of the hill there?
Whoever has that house that's at the bottom there, you could go right up into their driveway and crash on it.
Exactly. But that's Grayslake history.
That's Grayslake history.
That's
the skin knees I have from riding my bike down Sawia is Grayslake history for sure.
That's funny. We've had a couple people on and we've talked about how things have changed, from, we used to call it Tree Island and whatever, the things back there that we used to do that were a little crazy.
All these subdivisions came up kind of quickly there in the late 80s, early 90s.
Well, we moved to Avon on the Prairie, which was one block out there, and then when my parents and I moved out there, I think we were in 8th grade. That was the only thing there. So there was a one block, and there was nothing all the way from Washington, all the way over to Center, and just CLC was there, but there was
no stoplights.
No,
it was all stop signs.
No. I was telling my kids, of course, they think
now
I'm
we're
an old
sounding
man.
really old.
I know, do you know that there wasn't that turned into a 4-way stop, and now there's a stoplight? Who would have thought?
Yeah, there's a stoplight every
Right. Well, now
intersection now.
Yes.
But what's making me bring up memories too is Jerry's Parkway.
Yep. I just thought of it just at the same time.
And going to get my rainbow juices and sitting out on my banana seat bike, drinking my rainbow juice from Jerry's Parkway.
That's right.
Oh my God.
We had a lot of things to do, but we used to go in there and get our Glen Rock pops.
Oh yes, Glen Rock.
And then have to return the bottles.
I still
and get
have candles made out of Glen Rock bottles at my house.
Those are vintage.
Yes.
Yes. Anything that's from our lifetime we have to call vintage.
It's so vintage. But it's coming back into style now. We've lived so long that all the things we did are cool again.
I'm not sure that all of them, but a lot of them are coming back.
Most of the things. All the things I did are certainly
Well, you did
cool
everything
again.
legally, that's why. Not so much myself.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
That is hilarious. All right, so have you listened to many shows?
I've listened to a bit of...
You just did homework.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I listened to a bit of The Barbershop, Kristen, because she does our...
Kristen Cashmore?
Yeah, she does our picture day at the Dance Connection.
Yes, which is a big day.
Brendan,
yeah,
he knows a lot about Grayslake.
He does. Me and him had some fun.
Yeah, Mike, not a surprise.
Right.
Mike Pruitt.
Yeah.
Because I know Mike, my brother-in-law, and he went to high school together.
Okay.
And he's always been super supportive of the studio. We've done like cross promotions with ballroom and stuff, and
it's amazing.
He's so
community
incredible.
flag waver.
Yes, I mean,
extraordinaire.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, love Michael.
For sure.
Okay, the only reason I asked you is because at this time we do our Grayslake hot seat, where I'm going to ask you some questions, some rapid fire questions to you, and see where they are.
Okay.
So I'm going to be. Should I be nice to her, everybody? Yeah, I think I.
Please.
Okay, I will. So I'm just going to jump around on my combined list of sorts.
Okay.
It's time for the Grayslake Hot Seat. Hey, we'd like to thank our friends at Barbecue Productions Third Lake, my buddy Chris Schoenberger for sponsoring the Grayslake Hot Seat. So sit back, relax, and let's learn some more about our guests. Once again, thank you to Barbecue Productions. Hey, bartender, can I have a...
I always get a vodka tonic.
Vodka tonic. Lime or no lime?
Lime.
Lime, okay. Your favorite movie of all time?
Ooh. I have so many good ones. Probably Breakfast Club.
Oh, nice. Nice. Name a celebrity you've met.
Dee Snider.
Really?
We were in Vegas, and he was at... I don't know if I've met him. I don't know if you can call it met. I sat next to Dee Snider at a breakfast place in Las Vegas.
Really?
Yeah, I did not
You didn't
introduce
say anything?
myself. No, I'm very shy.
He was probably shy because he knew who you were.
Yeah, he was like, oh, that's Mrs. Rep's daughter.
Or your mom, yeah. Are you the famous Mrs. Rep's daughter?
Yeah.
Yes, Dee, take it easy.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. What is the last thing you purchased on Amazon?
Literally everything I own. Everyone who knows me is laughing right now if they're listening to this.
Because you
literally
buy everything.
Everything I own is from Amazon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Everything I'm wearing, I mean...
Well, if you're busy, Yeah.
Everything at the studio, Amazon. It's all Amazon.
Okay. What's the last thing you bought then?
The last thing I bought was snacks to refill the teachers' snack bins at the studio. That was the last thing I bought.
All right.
I have 2 giant boxes.
What do you put on your pizza?
I love pepperoni, just plain pepperoni, but I'll also do like weird things like barbecue chicken or, I like to get crazy with my pizza toppings.
Just settle down.
That's how I live it up.
Simmer down on your pizza toppings. How many texts do you send a day?
Oh, a lot. I don't know. Probably 30 easily.
Wow. What was your first car?
My first car was...
Nice sigh, by the way.
Oh, I miss it so much. I was such a spoiled brat in high school. My first car was a brand new Dodge Dakota with jump seats.
Wow.
It was white. It had a gray stripe on the bottom, and I wrecked it 3 weeks after having it. And my parents got it fixed. I backed into, when they were rebuilding the parking lot at Grayslake High School, I backed my truck into one of the concrete feet of the light posts.
Yeah.
There was no light in
Those were easy to hit, though. I mean, in your defense.
I hit it really good. And they replaced the letters on the back and didn't put them back in the right order. So it didn't say Dodge, it said Dogda for like a month. And then my science teacher pointed out that my car said Dogda. And so my dad took it back, which was funny because he went over it with like white gloves, to like inspect.
To make sure everything, but never looked at the letters.
It didn't say Dodge anymore.
That's hilarious. Did your car have a nickname?
No.
Besides that?
No, it was Dogda. That's probably what people called it after that.
Dogda. Do you have a nickname?
I mean, Miss Bridget, I guess.
You're Miss Bridget probably to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, almost everyone knows
probably
me as
adults
that.
probably call you Miss Bridget.
Yeah, they do. In fact, when I go to the chiropractor, because I'm always wearing sweaters and sweatshirts that say Miss Bridget on the back, so they teasingly call me Miss Bridget now. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
little embarrassing.
They can have fun with you, right? Have you ever won an award?
I won first place at the Lake County Fair in 1997 for Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy tap dance.
Really?
We got to dance for the governor. These are not the dance competitions of nowadays. This was at the Lake County Fairgrounds on cement.
The real one.
Yeah, the real one.
Right.
Where you competed against like people who sang and played the piano and did magic acts, and then somebody wins.
It's like a talent competition?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we won first place, and we got to go to state, and we got 4th in state. We got to go to Memphis and compete in like what they called an international competition, but that was just because there were kids from Canada there. And we got to go on this cool cruise down the Mississippi River, and met a bunch of different talent acts. That was really cool. And then we got to perform for the governor at this Illinois State Fair.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was 1,000 degrees. It was in August, and we were wearing long sleeve satin dance costumes.
Sounds like a wonderful experience.
It's very memorable.
I was going to say you remembered it talking about it
forever.
today.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
Zero. I do not do
gun
karaoke.
to your head. You have to do a karaoke song right now.
Taylor Dane, Tell It to My Heart.
Wow, it's funny you had nothing, but then you came up with that very quickly,
That's because
Bridget.
I've done that one time.
Okay, see, so it's a go-to one.
Somebody did put a gun to my head.
Okay, they
I was
probably
forced
did.
to do it.
If you had to have a theme party at your house, what would it be?
I have a theme party at my house frequently.
All right.
I love theme parties, but the one we do most frequently is a tropical Christmas New Year's, and we leave all the Christmas decorations up, and we also put up a zillion like Hawaiian decorations and luau decorations, and we turn the heat up to like 80 degrees, and everybody comes in their like tourist outfits, and we play games and do New Year's things, and
that is so
that's
fun.
almost every year now.
Okay. So you didn't have to think about that very hard.
I didn't have to think about that one.
Wow.
I love theme parties. I love them.
Me too. Super fun.
Yeah.
Last show you binged watched. Do you have time to binge
so
watch?
I have an addiction to The West Wing.
Yes.
I've been watching it literally since it was on TV for real, and I never stopped. And it's just on a constant loop.
So you rewatch it too?
I've probably watched the entire season.
You should see how serious she is about this right now.
70 times. I don't know, 100 times. I don't know. Like,
it's that good?
Well, I don't know. It's like my comfort show. I don't know. Also, ER, I watch a lot over and over again.
Oh.
I don't know.
Hey.
Trauma response. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. Whatever makes you feel better gets you through the day.
I can't listen to background music because I listen to music all the time for work. So I have to have background. You know how it is.
I know exactly how it is.
So when I'm in the car, I listen to talk radio. When I'm at home, I listen to TV because
it's something
it's
different.
So much music in my life all the time.
It is kind of nice to pick your own music, though.
Yes,
sometimes.
I mean, yes. Yeah, I do for like when we have parties. Yes. I love to be the DJ.
Good.
And then I'm playing music. But just in a day-to-day, I can't listen to music all the time.
I
get tired of it.
I totally understand. Let me get another. Your favorite Grayslake event?
I guess I'd have to say Summer Days because we are in the parade. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing that, since I was 12 years old or something.
Yeah, parades are fun.
So I've been in that parade a lot of times. So I mean Summer Days because they have a little carnival and stuff, and everybody's there and the bands and it's just
nice
a
to
fun
watch the community gather.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and see everybody singing along and eating their hot dogs or whatever. It's just a good, wholesome good time.
Right. I had a lot of wholesome good times during the parades there as well.
Yes, I know you did.
Yes, it's always fun. Always fun. Would the 12-year-old version of yourself think you're cool?
Oh God. Yeah, she probably would because I'm still dancing, and that was her entire existence was dance. 12-year-old Bridget.
Right.
So
good.
That's when I started as a spotlight company dancer.
Really?
I was 12 years old. So, and I still do it. So 32 years later.
What is a spotlight company?
It's like a organization within the studio of dancers that audition to be members of this team.
Okay.
When I took over the studio in 2006, there were 12 kids on this team. Now there's 72.
Wow.
But these are the kids that go out. So these are the kids that are in the parade. These are the kids that perform at the Arts Festival. These are the kids that right now are going to nursing homes and community centers and performing for people there. A couple weekends ago, we did free shows for kids in the community. They're always like a themed event.
Right.
Again, with my love of themed events.
Right. Well, one of my questions are things that you do with the community, but it sounds like going to nursing homes and doing shows like that, it must be a huge thing.
That is something so the people who started it were Kelly Carnegie, I think she's Kelly Kledzik now.
Yeah, I know Kelly.
Okay, and Robin Geske then. They started the Spotlight Company many years ago, I think in 1985 or somewhere around there, 87.
Wow.
And it started as this kind of like way to promote the studio, and also the kids that went to the Lake County Fair and all that business. Right. And then became more of a community outreach sort of a focused group over time. And now that's kind of their sole purpose, is to be, the Dance Connections ambassadors to the community. So they interact with the community at all these different events.
That's awesome.
The really cool thing right now is that, we just went to one of these nursing homes, and you've never had a better audience.
Really?
They are so appreciative. They hoot and holler, they clap, they dance in their chairs, they're crying. I mean, it's just so touching. And, you can dance we dance every year at our recital in front of 600 people, and almost dancing in front of 6 of those people is almost more valuable.
Right.
Because you're getting such, they are so
and I'm sure they
grateful.
appreciate it.
They're so
crazy.
grateful. Yeah.
So you just do that. Do you do that just locally, just right around?
Yeah, all in Lake County.
Right.
And since the time that we can't talk about, we used to do that more.
Right.
We used to go to more places, but it's been a little harder to, we got to bring 70 kids into a retirement center.
Yeah, I'm sure they like that. The germaphobes probably love that.
So you have to, there's still several places that welcome us in, but it's a little harder now because they're nervous, obviously.
Right, for good reason.
Yeah.
Bringing all that. Wow. That's awesome. We're going to come back to another thing that you said as we finish this up. So if you had to have a superpower, what would it be?
I don't know. I guess I would just have more time in a day. I don't know. I would be able to slow the clock down.
Yeah. Just pause it for a second and then take care of all your business and then start.
There are days I just need more time or more sleep or something.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Tell me a place that you'd like to travel that you have not been.
A place I'd like to travel that I have not been. I'd love to go to Denmark.
Denmark?
I don't know. It just seems...
Sure.
I like their idea of hygge, which is like just sitting around chilling with your friends in your cozy socks, reading books and drinking cider.
That's what we're doing right now. Except for we're recording it, and I'm talking way too much.
I don't know. It's just I like the kind of community, the idea of community in places like that in the world. Yeah, people take care of each other.
Love it. What do you wish you learned sooner?
Oh my gosh, so many things, Dave. To live in the moment. Mm-hmm. I think, especially someone who takes over a business at 24 or 27 years old, 26, with a 5-month-old baby. And then I had another one because why not?
Yeah, it's available.
Just throw one more in the mix.
Sure.
I think that you're always thinking about either what's coming next or what did I forget? And so like that sort of always living in the past and future sort of eliminates the ability to live in the present. I think I've only started to do that in the last few years.
Right. I study a lot of mindfulness stuff, but it is the hardest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
Especially when you got kids running around and businesses to run and people to take care of.
You know how it is.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Have you ever eaten a roller dog from a gas station?
Oh, no.
Well, she's disgusted by that. I'm actually going to have roller dogs readily available for all episodes here.
You could get somebody to sponsor it.
I could get a roller dog
sponsored by.
I'm going to buy my own. I'm going to have my own Discovering Grayslake roller dog station.
No.
Well, you might change your mind.
I don't.
That's my goal in life, is to
change my mind.
Just live in the moment. Would you just live in the moment? Would you open
That's
your
the
mind?
problem. I can see it right now in the moment.
You can see it,
and
how you're going to feel afterward and beforehand, how you're regretting it already.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to. Okay, so when you eat tacos, do you tilt your head to the right or the left? These are very important things.
To the left.
There she goes. All right. See, everybody has to do it. Okay, so let's end with this one, because I think I might know, but maybe not.
Okay.
If you had to write a book, what would it be about?
I guess owning a dance studio. It's the only thing I know about.
Right. It's the only thing that I know about.
I don't know about anything else. I only know about owning a dance studio.
So how many hours a week are you in the dance studio? Like, how much time does that take?
I don't know, 30. I'm in the building 30 hours a week, but I'm working at home another 30.
I should say, how many hours a day do you spend not working or at the Dance Connection?
Well, I go to a yoga class once a week, so I'm not working.
As you should treat yourself, right?
I mean, I don't know. It depends on the time of the year. But it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. To own your own business is a
Yeah.
lot of work. I'm not complaining.
Right.
I actually love it.
I can tell that.
But yeah, I mean, I'm probably on, doing administrative and computer stuff at least 6 to 8 hours in the daytime, and then I'm at the studio from 3:30 to
Right. Hopefully this is a
8:39.
podcast for anybody who wants to start their own business that they've completely given up on that. If they want any kind of
You just have
life.
to be really dedicated.
Right.
You have to love it.
Right. And
If
have
you-
enough money to hire other people to do your stuff.
Well, that takes time. So
Right,
you have to
exactly.
really love it at the beginning. You have to really, really
Well,
love it.
and that's true, because if you're not doing something you love, then no one in their right mind would do the business for as long as you would.
I think I saw a thing once that said if you own your own business, it's supposed to say you never work a day in your life, and then they cross that out and say you kind of work all the time. And I was like,
Right,
yeah,
if you do it you love, no, you work all the time.
that's it.
Just basically.
Yeah.
Until it drives you to the brink of being crazy, and then you have to really love it to stay where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've passed that point.
You've made it this far. There's no turning back.
I'm over
at
the
all.
hump now. Might as well
Right.
keep going.
Okay, so speaking of that, what are your plans for Dance Connection? Do you have a timeline and stuff, or you're like, I'm going to do this till I'm
Well, I mean,
50.
I would like to do it as long as I possibly can. Everybody has a timeline, but it's hard to, in a business that's year to year,
Sure.
it's hard to know for certain that things will unfold the way that you'd like them to. You can cross your fingers, you can hope that it'll continue to be as successful as it is right now, but at the turn of a dime, things can change.
Right. Maybe the C word can come in.
That thing we can't talk about
Right. That can happen.
could happen.
Now that we've actually all seen that
Yeah.
happen, you never really
Right.
know.
Right.
What's gonna happen.
I think I'd like to continue to teach as much as I am right now for, I don't know, if I can, for another 10 years.
That'd be great.
And then, slowly wean myself off of it because I love it so much. The teaching part is,
Right. I have a
why
feeling
I
no
do
matter,
it.
even if you get out of there, that you're going to be a part of this for the rest of your life
I hope
for some
so.
reason.
I hope so.
Yes.
I mean, I've grown up. It's literally been where I've grown up.
Right.
My whole life I've been there. I can't remember a time when I wasn't there.
Wow.
So
Okay, so if you're looking for a place to go for dance, I think that you are
come to the Dance Connection.
You are the expert on that, to say the least. So another thing I like to talk about is things and ways we give back to the community, how
Yeah.
businesses do things. I think
Yeah.
just you guys getting out with your group and going to
Yeah, I mean,
nursing
that's one
homes.
of the biggest ways.
Huge.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest ways we give back is to go out and give our time and talent.
Yeah.
But we also, I mean, obviously I sponsor as often as I can anybody who comes and asks. There's lots of school events and
Better be
team
careful how loud
events.
you say
Yeah.
that on here. Your door's going
I
to be
do the
knocking down.
best I can
Right.
as often as I can, especially if it's someone, a student of mine who's involved in something and they come to me and ask,
Absolutely.
I'm always going to be willing to help. But one of the ways we give back to the students in our community and the families in our community is recently we had a family who faced a really tragic challenge, a reality that the mother, Erica, had colon cancer, and she fought it and fought it and fought it, and she lost her battle. And I had gotten to know Erica over the years as a friend, outside of the studio, and so this was a really tough thing to process. She had 3 children at the studio at the time. They were all still very young, all in grade school. It was just it was a really tough thing to process because up until the very end, it just seemed like she was just going to keep fighting. Anyway, she would call me occasionally and say, hey, does anybody have a balance? I just want to pay it off. And so she would just, if any family was facing facing a challenge, she would just anonymously pay off their balance, and I would just send them a message that, your balance has been paid, don't worry about it. And so when she passed, her husband, Charlie, and I decided that the best way to honor her was to start a fund that did just that. Any family that was facing either a financial challenge or their, own medical things to overcome or whatever, parents losing jobs or even just a child that doesn't have access to something like dance and giving them that opportunity. So we, over this last year, I texted him. I think we funded over $14,000 worth of
Holy cow.
gifts to, whether it was kids that we brought in that could dance now and couldn't dance before, or families that were, having a hard time, or so that feels really good, and it feels like Erica would appreciate that. So we have a page on our website.
Yes, please, and tell us how people can help
Sure.
with that.
Yeah, so you can go to GrayslakeDanceConnection.com, and on our main page you can hit Dancer Scholarships, and that'll take you to the Erica Semenchuk Memorial Fund. And you can just make a donation there. It's a contribution, but we appreciate, even $5 is meaningful.
Well, and it adds up.
Yeah.
And just to respect her. Oh my gosh, how cool is that?
And she was just such a, what I loved so much about her was that she was so down to earth. She was just such a real broad, She was really cool. And I loved talking to her, and we would share stories about parenting. My kids were older than hers, and we'd laugh about the rewards of parenting together. But she was just, I admire her so much. So.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
And Grayslake, go get over there. Just if everybody listened to this episode gave $5.
Oh yeah.
We'd be in really good shape.
For sure.
And the joy that it brings to girls that maybe don't have the resources to do that. So that's fantastic. We'll also post that link in the show notes of this. So if you're wherever you're listening at, if you go down to the show notes, there'll be a direct link there for you as well. So. But thank you for sharing that story, because that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's really special.
Wow. So you guys get to do fun stuff. You get to give back.
Yeah.
And it must be, because you, kind of like being a teacher at school, that you get to deal with all kinds of girls and boys.
Well, I'm going to say right now to all the teachers out there, it's not like being a teacher at school. I have them for an hour, we play, and then
You're
I
like
send
being
them
a teacher
home.
at school for 1 hour.
I'm like being an auntie teacher.
Right.
The teachers are the moms, and I'm the cool aunt teacher.
Right. You get to do the fun stuff.
Right. So no, it's not exactly like being a teacher at school. I have teacher friends. My mom was a teacher. It's not the same. But
you get to influence young children.
But one of my favorite things is watching these kids, because often we have kids at the studio that start at age 2 and are with us until they graduate high school.
Wow.
So one of the gifts of something like this is I get to watch them grow and change and mature, and their talent explodes, and often the teenagers at the studio get involved by being student teachers. So they're working with the younger ones. So you see like this kind of circle of life of, them being the little ones, and then now they're the ones the little ones look up to.
Right.
So I love that sense of, it really is a community there. And, you really get to know people, you get to know kids and their families, you get, the fact that they would trust us, to have this influence on their kids for so long, for such a large part of their existence is, a gift and a responsibility. But most of the kids there don't go. We have kids that go on to, maybe a more professional track and dance, but most of them don't,
Just a hobby or fun, a sport. Right.
And so the things that they take with them that aren't dance, I think, is one of the more important things as the teachers there, about discipline and, responsibility and creativity and staying young, being able to have fun and not take things too seriously. And
there's teamwork
there's definitely teamwork involved. Just the joy of process, because dance is a lot of process. So like learning to enjoy the doing of something rather than the reward at the end, like the path to it. Mm-hmm. We have kids that have gone on to all kinds of things like nurses, teachers, speech therapists, social work. They're, they're in all kinds of aspects. But I think a lot of them would still say that they use some of these things they learned in dance class.
Right. Well, that's very honorable to have people say that to you too. That you get to be a part of molding them in some way or another through something that you love.
Right. I had an adult. Former student of mine just texted me the other day asking about where she could get a pair of shoes that we had used one time. And she's still taking dance as an adult. And she said, thank you for teaching me to love this. And
that's awesome.
That is everything.
Right. There's the reward.
That's
why
the
you
reward.
keep doing
That
it.
is the reward. Well, also the look on the face of the little ones who are on stage for the first time, and those lights come on.
Yeah.
And they are living their best life in that moment, and they're so excited. And then the applause from the audience for those 3-year-olds. I mean, there is nothing better.
If you could see the joy on Bridget's face right now, it's fantastic, though.
It's so cool.
So, question with that. So the recital, is the recital like the end of like this, what do you call it?
Yeah,
the
it's kind
season?
of the culmination of we call it recital season.
Okay.
So that's from September to May. And then in the summer, we just have 6-week courses just for kids to keep up with, or maybe new kids to try something, and see how they like it.
So if I had a daughter or son that was interested in joining the Dance Connection to do stuff, at what time of the year do you do that? Did they go to the website? They call you?
Yeah. So there's always information on the page about when stuff might be changing or when registration might be available. The next time we'll have registration available online will be in April, and that will be for our summer session, which is 6 weeks. 3 weeks in June, 3 weeks in July. We usually take the week of 4th of July off.
Good for you.
And and then for our recital season, we usually do registration for recital all the way in July, because we do get it's a very high demand time.
Right. So if you're interested in having somebody sign up, you better be watching to see when that opens.
Yeah, you can always, we also, we advertise when we're going to open registration on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. So we're out there, putting our ads out that we're going to open registration. Sure. But a lot of our students really come from word of mouth, family members, former dancers.
I'm sure after all of these years, your advertising budget should be way down.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. Yes. People know who we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thing to have.
That was one of the gifts of taking over the business, is it was so established.
Turnkey. Just ready to go.
Yeah.
And everybody already knew you.
Right. Everybody knew me there.
And I'm sure if people didn't have to ask questions, they might not even known.
Right.
Really.
Right.
Except for where'd Pat go?
Yeah. Well, she was there. Miss Pat stayed with me for 15 more years, and I learned so much from having her there to guide me.
She's fantastic,
she
by
is,
the way.
Yeah. So it was, that was a gift to have all of that to have her there next to me, kind of helping me, manage and
navigate your way through, right? Which is great, though.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the whole thing has been a wonderful experience for you, and it's actually just
been.
Your business is your life.
It is my life.
And your life is your business.
My life is my business. My family would agree.
Right, exactly.
It's their life, too.
Right. Well, at least they get to be a part of something fun anyway. Yeah. And you have a rewarding job, too.
Yes, I do. Very much.
Which is absolutely wonderful. Okay, so as time wraps down here, is there anything I'm missing, anything that we need to talk about that I'm missing to ask you? Because a lot of times I go through and I'm like, oh my gosh, we didn't talk about this.
I don't know. I mean, while we focus mostly on, we start at age 2 all the way up to graduates in high school, so 18. We do have ballroom classes that meet once a month, and it's just very laid back. It's like for people who don't know how to dance or would rather just dance for fun. It's not, we're not going to any competitions or anything. But Lexi and Spencer Craig, who are a married couple, teach the lessons at the studio, and they've been doing it for a long time. So that's once a month. So that's on our website too.
So is that classes. For older people then? Or
it's for any adults, I would say.
Okay.
Any adults. You can come with a friend, you can come with your spouse, you can bring a group and make it an outing.
Oh, that'd be fun.
It's just something interesting to do that isn't, the same old standard stuff.
Right.
And people love it. They have a great time, and it's, again, it's...
And it's not a big time commitment because it's once a month.
Right, once a month. Great. And you can just purchase tickets for one. You don't have to come every month. And it's just a fun, maybe a date night or, just something funny and fun to do. And you learn, then the next time you go to a wedding reception where Dave's the DJ, you can, you'll have some moves to do. You don't have to just do the penguin.
Then I don't get to make fun of them. Right. Not that I would ever do that.
Fewer people. No, never.
I would never do that.
No, very professional.
Right. It's all in my head.
Yeah.
It's It's never spoken. Just make sure of that. I've actually learned to enjoy the people that can't dance more than the people that do dance.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the Elaine effect, right?
Exactly. You know? It's complete entertainment for me, which I love because I'm usually that person on the other side. But after a while with dance, the people that really are good dancers just don't care. They're expressing themselves and doing their own thing.
That's right. And that's what dance should be about, really.
Absolutely.
Dance like no one's watching.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Except Dave is definitely watching.
But I'm watching. Might be videotaping it as well. Right. No judgment here at all, for sure. That's why I don't do it that often anymore.
Yeah.
I've had enough.
You do the overbite.
That's right.
Twist.
Oh my God. She's seen me. So, well, I appreciate you being here with me today.
This was great.
I know a lot of times.
I was very nervous, and I
why were you nervous?
I don't know. I don't know. Now I feel relaxed.
Good. Now
we can talk for another hour.
Right, exactly. We'll turn it off and then we'll talk for another hour. So make sure to follow. It is the Dance Connection on Facebook, on Instagram.
It's Grayslake Dance Connection on all of those platforms, and same with our website, Grayslake Dance Connection. Because there's other dance connections, but the best one's in Grayslake.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. And the one that's been around the longest is in Grayslake too.
Yeah.
So Grayslake Dance Connection. Go give them a follow.
Yeah.
And folks, if you listen to this episode and you have a daughter or son that's been in dance, feel free to share this episode too, because we like to spread the love. And I think by listening to this, even the stuff we talked about old Grayslake, hopefully we bring light to maybe somebody that didn't know about something.
That's right.
So it kind of makes it fun.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
Thank you, Dave.
And Grayslake, thank you so much for listening, no matter what platform you're listening on, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. So that way every week when a new episode comes out, you don't need to go look on our social media stuff. It'll just pop up on your phone and alert you that a new episode is there. I want to encourage everybody to do one little random act of kindness today. Be nice to somebody. Be kind. We never know what anybody's going through. So spread the love that way. And also go over to the GrayslakeDanceConnection.com and go under Dance the Scholarships and give $5 today. Do it for me. All right? All right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next Tuesday.